Greetings, Mega Man fans, and welcome back to the Mega Man Super Fighting Robot LPA. In this episode, we'll be taking on Blade Man. Wait, no, that's Dagger Man. Jokes aside, while they may look a little similar, especially back when Dagger Man was purple, Dagger Man and Blade Man are definitely different beasts. For one, Dagger Man chooses his stage to be inside of a more computer-based stage with some foreshadowing, as opposed to a medieval stage that totally doesn't have Nightman's cannons in the background. Dagger Man's actual stage, in terms of its level design, was originally arranged in a very different manner. Same enemy variety and same gimmicks, but it played out in quite a different way from what it has now. Honestly, I prefer the new one, though there's a room from the old one that I do miss. Anyway, Roto Cannon's introduction, not quite as good as it was in Zapman's stage, in my opinion. I feel it's a little harder to hit him given he is below you instead of above you. That being said though, the introduction otherwise still works. It's not a case of a bad versus a good introduction, more of a good versus a great one. It still works. I think that's what's more important. Another working introduction is Shield Assaulter. Considering where it spawns and how it spawns, I have absolutely no excuse for not realizing its shooting behavior before I end up in a position where it can shoot me in the face. How Shield Assaulter behaves is it moves back and forth like a shield attacker, and is defended from the front like a shield attacker, but in exchange for its slower movement, it shoots energy blasts forward, meaning standing in front of it is a far more dangerous thing than it usually is for shield attackers. Which I can appreciate. I like Shield Assaulter. He's a bit more involved than most shield attacker type enemies. And that was a Psyblade. They're these dagger enemies that will materialize lining up with you in the process. And once they've materialized fully, they'll stop moving for about a second or so, and then fly, and then they'll just shoot straight forward. Like so. They're really not as threatening as they look. They only take like one shot to actually kill, meaning they are generally very easy to dispatch. Swordy, on the other hand, can take quite a bit of punishment. As demonstrated, he can attack you outside of typical behavior, but most of the time how Swordy attacks is when you shoot him, his eyes turn white and he launches a sonic boom as a counterattack. He's not terribly threatening if you know how to deal with him. If you don't though, especially if you get too close like I did, he could be very nasty. And here we have color-coded crystals where when you jump to one, it teleports you to the other crystal of the same color. It's a pretty simple gimmick, but I imagine someone who was colorblind might have a much harder time with this gimmick than someone who isn't. It's an unfortunate thing, but oh well, we didn't plan for it. That was our mistake. And here we have a double ball. It's a bouncy one-eyed ball that when you shoot it, its momentum will increase, causing it to travel faster in the direction it's moving towards. It's actually pretty fun to deal with. I found endless amusement in just shooting them and watching them bounce around. Oh, the endless amusement as long as there isn't more than one. When there's more than one, cue the noise pollution. And a couple of Psyblades and a Swordy. And if I didn't just screw up and slide over earlier, this would be the room in which we'd learn about Swordy's more aggressive behavior. As you can see, I'm close enough that Swordy's eyes are completely white, and he is now launching sonic booms at a set interval, making him quite a bit more dangerous to deal with since, you know, I've made him aggressive now. That being said, it's still fairly easy to snipe Swordy from a distance over here, meaning it's entirely possible for you to finish this room's little challenge, so to speak, without ever learning what it wants you to learn. That lack of knowledge can come to bite the player in the back later, so be wary. And here we have a totem pole. Yes, its name is literally totem pole, just English. How it behaves is it fires these bouncing green balls in a sequence from top to bottom, firing 1 to 4 balls. It's not terribly dangerous most of the time. The tricky part to dealing with a totem pole is that generally speaking, you want to kill it fast. If you let it live for too long, it tends to be in positions where the 3 shots, or the 4 shots especially, can be very dangerous. And here we have a quick moment to learn that these crystals will keep our momentum as we jump through them. Something that you need to know in order to advance, but if you don't know that, well, no harm done. And Totem Podu here, we have a nice vantage point to deal with them. That being said, okay. That was close. If you're wondering why I slid there, the last time I jumped into that teleporter, I ended up having a side blade decide to materialize right on top of me. Let me tell you, that's not fun. But, the main thing about this teleporter, as you might be able to tell, it was kind of a trap. Because I jumped into it, I've respawned Totem Podu, and now I have to deal with him again. So if you can help it, avoid jumping into that teleporter. Thankfully, the trap wasn't lethal. No, we get lethal traps later. Kinda like this one. Although, really, falling straight down isn't too difficult to deal with. And this room here, because good difficulty curve, we want to time our landing so that we don't get shot in the face by roto cannons. And then in this last room, first of all, case in point, noise pollution. Those double balls can be very, very noisy in the right circumstances. And then, I have to admit, I like that combination that I just casually steamrolled with the shield assaulter and the teleporter crystals. That's a neat concept. It was in the original level, and I'm glad it's used here. And on that note, we have a mid-boss. This is Quark 2.0. As the name implies, he is based on the Quark boss from the Mega Man DOS games. And he's not too bad a fight, really. If you know what you're doing, Quark goes down, rather easily. Like that one hit I took right there was pretty dumb. Anyway, how Quark 2.0 works is that his legs will block shots, but otherwise his body just spins. Anytime his face is facing forwards, he shoots 2 energy shots straight at you. And ever so often when his thumb is facing forwards, he will shoot those bombs that will home in on you, and you have to shoot them to destroy them. He's a pretty neat boss, and I like the use of the teleporter crystals here. Like, Quark 2.0 was a pretty fun fight. If only the Quark from the original DOS games was as entertaining. And I am glad that that shield assaulter used its high shot first, because otherwise I'm pretty sure I would have been shot in the face just for jumping through that boss door. And then I would have had to have been rather upset. And now for more teleporter shenanigans. That double ball there was probably one of the more dangerous ones. Like, I've been hit in the face by that one a few times now. And this section right here is the part where knowing about Swordy's aggressive behavior pays off. You may not realize it, but you want to time dropping through this ladder so that you're in the right place to kill that shield assaulter, ideally without taking too much damage. If you can pull that off, though, along with pulling off that jump afterwards, it's not too bad overall, but, well, as you can tell, that shield assaulter messed me up badly enough that I basically forgot what I was going to say. Good game. I could go up there with the rush coil, but I try to avoid using utilities and other weapons where I can help it, so instead, noise pollution! Die, you stupid thing. And there. I missed out on a few small screws, but those ones, I don't miss out on at all. Hee hee. The joys of weapon use. The joys of Leaf Boomerang. And that's actually a very... And this is actually quite the tricky spot for Totem Podu. It may not look it, but it's actually a very good setup. Because if you do decide to jump over here, yeah, well, as Rotocannon clearly proves, you're nowhere near as safe to fight Totem Podu as you hoped you were. And then just sniping that Swordy there with charge shots, and we're on our way. Uh-oh! Well, that was mean. Note to players, don't slide into this room unless you want to smack your face into a Swordy. Like, ow. And on that note, I definitely want to time this right. Shield assaulters can be very tricky to dodge if you actually have to fight them head-on. And... I'm guessing we're in the final room now. That went well. Yeah, this is feeling final roomy. Do I want the help? Sure. Okay, oh! Hi. Yeah. That Totem Podu is a fine example of one where you want to kill it quickly. Failure to do so means you're probably gonna die. And, yes, I want the A there, thank you. Okay. And... Ow. Just a Swordy left to kill. And we are at the boss door. So that was Dagger Man's level. Honestly, one of the easiest levels in this entire game, really. Simple gimmick, fairly simple enemy varieties, though it definitely has some very clever moments. Like, we all saw how that shield assaulter made me panic enough to forget some of my lines. Go figure. I suppose the only real complaints I have about this stage have to do with Swordy. It is very easy to not know about the Swordy's more aggressive behavior until it is too late, and then pay for it with damage later on. And then, well, we all saw that Swordy that I ended up sliding into with no real knowledge that it was there. Like that, I'm not gonna lie, that was a little cheap. But other than that, this is a pretty strong level. I I can't complain too much, really. And Dagger Man himself, he's a very easy boss. I think the best way to describe him is... Ow. He's a very Rock Force-esque boss, really. And besides that little hiccup there, I find he's I guess you could say the second easiest boss in the game. I could basically perfect run him almost casually. Not to say he's a boring boss, though. You can all see how dodging him can be a little tricky. If he jumps in the air and teleports, he's going to use that attack where he shoots his dagger downwards and launches shockwaves along the floor. If he teleports with his arms crossed, he's going to appear right next to you, dash into you with his head, and then he'll launch those two sword waves. If he points his dagger forward, then once he reacts, he's going to shoot the flash dagger forward, and then teleport somewhere nearby. Dagger Man is a boss which is best fought by you not panicking. If you panic and move too much, there is the possibility that he will telefrag you. You need to pay attention and keep your cool at basically all times. If you do that, he's really not that hard. At least in my opinion. Anyway, for defeating Dagger Man, you get the Flash Dagger. What this does is you place a dagger onto the field by holding the fire button, and when you release it, the dagger flies forward. If you hold the fire button long enough, you actually gain temporary invincibility. For some reason. It's not a bad weapon, but I'm not gonna lie, Flash Dagger is the weakest of the 8 Robot Master weapons in this game. Like, pretty much bar none. Anyway, with that, we've completed Dagger Man stage, and we are likewise halfway through the Robot Masters. Not bad. Anyway, thank you all very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this episode, and I shall see you for the next one, where we take on basically the opposite element of Robot Master, for lack of a better term. So, until then, thank you all very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this episode, and I shall see you again for the next one. Until then, goodbye!